right. Well, hello, folks, and welcome to another edition of Benefits with John Clay. We're at a unique point in history. Shark Tank is not just a hit television series, it's become a reimagining of the American dream. Uh, More people than ever are striking out on their own, especially in the wake of all the recent upheaval and change in our economy, in the cost of goods and the cost of everything imaginable. Folks are looking for alternatives to build a better life in the United States of America, and they're tackling problems and opportunities with unrivaled creativity. These entrepreneurs are just like anyone else. They grow up with the American dream in the back of their mind. Some of them start as side hustles. Some of them are just thought leaders of some sort or another. And look at what the proliferation of the online presence has done for transforming our social experience through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Elon Musk, the whole nine yards. So what's funny is that major corporations are hiring these visionaries to specifically behave like entrepreneurs. Now think about that. We all began our quest for money or fame or fortune or just work as an entrepreneur of some sort. We could do something better, and we were hired based on our ability to do a job, whether it was a job for wages or job for custom something or other, or just for an employer. And let's look at the venture capital. Everywhere you're seeing venture capital come in and purchase things from established 100-year-old family businesses to what's been created on Wall Street or in Silicon Valley from a startup with some sort of tech. So we're seeing these generational businesses and all these other startups just be gobbled up by venture capital. There's a thirst for money. So with all that being said, welcome to Benefits with John Clay. Today we're going to talk about breaking through the status quo. This is a book you see on your screen. It's a book that I co-authored about 4 or 5 years ago with a group of mastermind people that just basically got together and said enough is enough. And what we did was we said, okay, look, we've got to get the message out there on what it's like to look at a benefit plan the way that everybody else looks at any other capital expense in their business. How to study it, what to look for, and also what mindset a person might need to get into the construction of an employee benefit program, specifically a medical plan, and get in there and break it apart and show the values that can be delivered, the exposing the profit margin in this medical insurance game, and essentially saying, okay, their margin is our opportunity. And we're going to start winning by flipping the script, if you will. So when you get into breaking through the status quo, we're going to talk a little bit about my chapter, which is entitled the Blue Ocean Strategy of looking at your benefit plan. Because if you take off the lenses, forget about all the training and all the sales calls and renewals that you've ever had, and looking at your healthcare renewal. When we talk about the competitive advantage of a Blue Ocean's benefit strategy, the Blue Ocean strategy is no one else is out there. Okay, you've got blood in the water everywhere at renewal time. Everybody's circling around you, calling you every day because they know that your renewal is January 1. We're in Q4. January 1 is on the top of everybody's mind. Employee benefits are, the last thing they have to do before Christmas, So what we've done is saying, okay, well, let's take a look at this from a totally different angle, and let's see what we can extract in terms of value to deliver that back to the bottom line. And so Breaking Through the Status Quo was the title of the book. And our competitive advantage of a blue ocean strategy is where we went on our chapter in the book. So let's talk a little bit about this chapter, because usually an entrepreneur does not want to get bogged down in the unsexy parts of business. And certainly one of the most draconian things is to sit down with an advisor and take a look at your medical renewal and have the words "a less bad renewal" be the result of your call today. Hey, it started out at 30%, but I got it negotiated down to 21%. And there's the value proposition from a broker. It's a shock because you had no idea that this was coming. And when you have a vision and a strategy behind your business that is doable, especially in your benefits program, then all of a sudden you're sitting there with an offensive strategy. You're playing offense instead of defense. And getting my analogy in this article and in this chapter was basically similar to a boating experience. If you're a boater, and most entrepreneurs have a side hustle that might be boating or fishing or skydiving or flying an aircraft or something of that nature, but mine happens to be boating. And we're talking about flipping the script. Instead of being drug along by the boat, we're actually talking about being the captain of the boat and actually steering the boat in the right direction towards a goal, instead of being drug along at the mercy of whatever it is and whomever it is behind the wheel. So, you can control the throttle. You can go as fast as you want or as slowly as you want. And you can steer left, steer right, or stay straight. And when you're the captain of that, it's a whole lot more fun to operate that machine than it is to be drug along at the mercy. I've seen many kids on the back of a boat on a tube and watch them go across the wakes, and it's a little rough sometimes. It's bone jarring for some. So the key to this whole thing, though, is this. You've got to have a good understanding of the inner workings of whether it's a boat or a medical plan. And my article or my chapter says that basically you've abdicated your responsibility. What we used to have in a room full of actuaries that would take a look at your medical renewal, and they would say, okay, this is the best and brightest way to approach this renewal. But CFOs in the C-suite and a lot of CEOs have abdicated that total responsibility to their benefits broker or their HR professional, neither of which have P&L responsibility for that line item on the business's balance sheet. And what that has is a terrible impact on the profits of a business, because let's face it, what money pays for benefits in a business? It's profits. All the profits that you make in a business can be eaten up by a bad medical plan renewal. So abdicating your fiduciary responsibility to insurance companies and others that have no interest in your business, bad practice. So let's talk about being all hands on deck. Few businesses today, even ambitious startups, have a single sole decision maker. Right? You get all of your team together, and entrepreneurs especially recognize that one of the keys to their success was going to be surrounding themselves with smart, driven people with tons of unique talents that will discuss major changes in the industry, the pitfalls of this versus that. And it may even have 7 to 9 employees that are part of that inner circle of strategy and guidance for one person. And, you're talking managing, especially as a startup, managing multiple simultaneous risks across the organization. And if you don't have a strategy outline to manage that, because you've got to execute on the plan to grow your business and to eliminate or avoid risk or transfer risk. There's the three ways to handle risk. You can eliminate it, you can avoid it, or you can transfer it. And those are the things, you can plan for it, but you've got a startup, for example, going on here. The chief financial officer or human resources director, each has a different job description, but a lot of time they don't. And we had a show on this a couple of weeks ago where they don't reach across the aisle, and you've got basically a vertical stack where you have a silo. You've got the CFO on one hand, you've got the HR lady or gentleman on the other hand, and they don't talk about what the impact to a bad health renewal or an ongoing review of plan performance on your medical plan does to your business. And it's a shame, because if you have zero P&L responsibility on the HR side, they can ruin your business, and your CFO sitting there at the last hour trying to figure out how in the world their current price structure is going to handle the impact to the bottom line. So enough about that. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that being a collaborative environment in your business is key to today's management of medical plans. And you got to have some trusted advisors in your inner circle that talk to each other to help drive the bus and keep things going. So these corporate silos, have to be recognized by your benefits advisor. Okay. You've got to have somebody that recognizes that you can have differences of opinion, but at the end of the day, you've got to come together and make the thing work in the best interest as a fiduciary for the business owners or stockholders, right? That's what they do at the insurance companies. And, if you want an advisor to come into your business and hawk their wares and talk about benefits, you can call any of the big box outfits, and they will come in and tell you that they've got the largest block of fully insured business in the country. And you can get anything off the spreadsheet that you want. You can tell them, hey, I want the best benefits for the lowest price. And they'll bring you in a spreadsheet with a comparison of 3 to 5 different companies. And, you just throw a dart at it, because a lot of times they'll be within 2 to 3 to 4% of each other. Right. And there you go. You've got your benefits bought for a year and you don't have to worry about it. Or if you want your business to rise above the status quo, you should find an advisor that rises above the status quo, breaking through the status quo, if you will, in his or her own work. And so, look, I've done it for decades in the industry. I did it for 30 years, 25. In the last 5, I've gotten away from a lot of that spreadsheet marketing, because it really has no thought involved. I mean, the skill set of building the best looking spreadsheet just really doesn't do a whole lot for me. And, thankfully, I attended conferences, and I've developed solutions, have become partners in a group of, I will say, entrepreneurs and specialists who actually look at the components of a medical plan, and they come from a wide range of businesses across the country, actually. And they attack these problems and find the solutions that will actually deliver value and help you to create a value agenda for your benefits. And what we mean by that is a supply chain management concept, where anything that doesn't add value to your medical plan, or your benefit plan for that matter, is considered waste and has to be eliminated. If it's not adding value, It's considered waste and must be eliminated. And that's what the Japanese Kanban program has done in the assembly line of automobiles and other products, manufactured processes for going on 30 years now. So it's a pretty simple approach, but it's complicated by the idea that the status quo has educated the market for a long, long time as being, buy this and you will not get fired by buying Blue Cross, or no one's ever been fired by buying IBM. Well, the same concept, no one's ever been fired by buying Blue Cross. Well, no one's ever seen what Blue Cross is capable of until the last 10 years, where they see the rates just doubling 30% over year in the last 5 years. And the benefits, I don't even want to talk about what the Affordable Health Care Act has done to benefits. So you probably think about your key hires in a way that will bring more effectiveness and more profitability to your benefits. Well, let's look at an employee benefits advisor and consultant. What kind of benefit would that bring to your business if they're able to deliver value and profitability back to your company? And that's what's fun about what we're doing now, because all of a sudden we've restored profitability to people that have said, oh, really? That's possible? Yeah, it is possible. And we've got some nice case studies to share with you. So shameless plug, shout out to our sponsor today, www.bettersourcebenefits.com. Check us out on the web and look at our results link, because there you have a couple of case studies where we've enjoyed permanent savings for employer groups. And these are public entities, so it's, public information, but we can deliver these permanent savings over time for your business as well. And just click on the Get Started link, and John Clay's calendar, and I'm happy to invest 30 minutes with you to book a call and get things going. So back to our chapter and breaking through the status quo. When it comes to employee benefits, the circumstances usually play out like this. The human resources director picks the most straightforward option on the table, usually from a spreadsheet, usually from the advisor who he or she likes the most. And this is not a knock on that person, but human resources directors have a lot on their plates. They don't necessarily focus on the bottom line and the impact on the profit and loss statement for a business. They look at noise, they look at other components and say, they're going to play it safe. They perceive the easiest to implement. They look at the challenge for open enrollment, for example. They look at the challenges for service after the sale. They look at all of these things, and so they do things that kind of protect their territory. Again, speaking about those silos, let's play it safe. I don't want anything to bleed over into anyone else's issues and go over my head, for example, and call the boss. I don't want anybody to have any problems, and the least noise is the better. And they're just not thinking about the performance of the business when they make a lot of those decisions. Haven't for years, because they've been given, a lot of them have been given complete autonomy. You handle the health insurance. I don't want to deal with it. I've had folks tell me, I know more about health insurance now than I ever wanted to know, and I really don't like that. Well, guess what? As we've said in prior businesses or in prior live streams, you run a healthcare business unit inside your company, whether you like it or not. So if you're going to abdicate the problems of running a healthcare business to somebody that has no responsibility for the profit and loss statement in your business, you might want to rethink that. Just saying. And here's the person that does care the most about it, and that's your CFO. They care about the profit and loss statement, but they will rarely talk to the human resources director about a strategy because no one ever has a strategy. It's because they never have any optics to see what their performance looks like, especially in that 50 to 100, well, 20 to 100 size groups, because they're always told, oh, you're too small, you can't get that information. Well, that's not true. It's just that they withhold that information from you because they don't want to see what the profitability is for your group. Good or bad, you should be able to make accountability part of your conversation. Certainly over 100, if you're still fully insured over 100, 200, 250 people, and you're not getting very clean and very concise and very organized and granular details on your monthly spend for your medical, www.bettersourcebenefits.com. Click on the link to get started, and I will show you how we can break that down for you and turn that script around and flip the script. Because buddy, the status quo scenario is no winning opportunity for getting more money and releasing that trapped EBITDA, earnings before income, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, right? Release that trapped EBITDA that's located inside your medical plan, because their profit is, their margin is your opportunity, and it's your profit that's going to fund someone else's business model. They've got a plan. Trust me, it's time for you to get one. The generic advisor, let's just play a role play here. Generic advisor calls up and says, hey, how are you? I haven't seen you since Rotary Club last week. I'd like to get you your thoughts on our program. We'd like to underwrite your case. And you go, you sit down with them. They make a presentation. You like this person. They have a really nice looking spreadsheet, and off you go. There's no strategy behind that. It's just a relationship sale. Now flip the script with an innovative mindset. And when you're looking for that blue ocean strategy, you're saying, okay, let's take a look underneath the hood and see where our leaks are. And if you've got a profit, we call that a profit leak a lot of times. And that's exactly what it is. You have a profit leak inside your health plan, and it's costing you thousands of dollars. And these are real profit dollars, because what did we say earlier? Profits are what pay for your benefits. Okay, so if you have a profit leak and you don't want to fix that profit leak, you've got to break that thing apart. You might have to take that engine apart to find out where the leak is. Well, you cannot take a fully insured engine apart, right? You're going to, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. And, or the worst line that you've ever heard is, that's the best you could do. No, says I, just like the West Virginia Ninja. No, says I. That is not what we do at Better Source Benefits. We will take that engine apart, and we will find that profit leak, and we'll give you some strategies and solutions to fix it, which is fun because all of a sudden you start seeing the results almost immediately. So what's the big takeaway here? You don't need to become a benefits advisor to see a benefit plan opportunity. We do that. We are the ones who are learning the ins and outs of this rapidly changing healthcare landscape. We stay on top of things like massive movements and change with regard to telemedicine, for example, bundled pricing, just keeping that vision for your business open and sharp, and having the optics to seize the advantages that exist out there in the market. These are not solutions and strategies that are brought to most of the market, because it's not. There are three reasons that they're not. One, they don't know about them. Two, they know about them, but they don't know how to implement them. Or three, it's not in their best interest to implement anything other than a status quo, fully insured option. Because if they were to do that, and they would create a less of an opportunity, less revenue for their big box outfit. Because you've got all these layers now. You've got bonuses and overrides and all this other gravy that comes to a big box outfit as long as they maintain their huge block of business with a fully insured carrier. It's pretty simple stuff. You bring in an advisor to it's like bringing in an engineer, right? You don't need to be an engineer to solve the problem, but you would benefit from an engineer that knows what things look like and know how to deal with it. And so here's a quick checklist that you can use to identify benefits opportunity in your business. Are you using a self-fund? Number one, are you using a level funded or self-funded program? Is your plan different than your competitors' plans? Because it's a small world. You all know who your competitors are. And you got to take a look at their competitors. If there's a way to get an insight into your competitors' business, ask them if they got a fully insured or level funded plan. You'd be shocked to find if they'll tell you that a lot of them have a custom plan anymore. If they don't, there's your opportunity for a competitive advantage. And, as part of that conversation, was your plan heavily customized to fit your unique needs? Because we've talked about it on this stream before. One size fits one. Not everybody's business is the same. And when you pull an off-the-rack benefit out of the portfolio from a fully insured carrier, there's no customization in there. They don't know exactly what you have. They're just going to show you a spreadsheet, and that's where everybody thinks that comparing apples to apples is some sort of a good business decision. And then the other thing, does your benefits plan actively save you capital and help you retain key employees? Imagine that. You're trying to go out there right now in a challenging environment to attract and to retain current employees. What are you doing that's outside the box, that's beyond the status quo? That's the big question. Does your benefit plan actively save you capital and help you retain key employees? We've talked about it in prior shows. Not only are you trying to attract new talent, but you're trying to retain what you currently have. And 60% of the employees in 2022 were active or were looking for a new opportunity. And of that amount, 40% were actively searching. There's someone in your business that may be actively searching and you have no idea, and you got no retention strategy to retain that. And they could be in your mid or to upper level of management, not seeing any opportunity and not realizing any benefit because there's nothing there for them. It's the status quo world. And it makes it easy to transition. They've tried to standardize this with the Affordable Care Act so you can move freely from job to job. But if you have a little imagination and a little entrepreneurial spirit, breaking through the status quo can rock your world and keep them in the golden handcuffs to retain that fantastic talent. Some of them may need to go. I don't know. But the question there is, have you actively bucked the national trend of rising premiums and reduced coverage? Okay, so what have I said for 30 years to a lot of employer groups because I had nothing else until the last few years? I'm here to raise your rates and cut your benefits. I mean, I was always very straightforward with folks. I'm here to raise your rates and cut your benefits. I did a renewal today that was a 3% renewal on a group of 15. I did a renewal last month that was a 3% renewal on a group of 250. That's tremendous from what I'm seeing on the fully insured renewals. 8.8% is what I've gotten on a lot of them. 9.9, got a 28% rate increase on one. I saw a claim come through on a set of premature twins that was billed at $360,000. And the group that had that claim today got an 8% renewal rate on their employee benefits. This is on a zero deductible plan. Out of after a $300,000 claim, we had the right risk transfer mechanisms in there, and it was a fantastic renewal because they knew they were going to see a 20 or 30% rate increase and have seen that type of renewal in the past. And so then ultimately, another issue that comes up is when you implemented your benefits plan, did you incorporate the insights of multiple experts within your own organization? Did you consult with the CFO, human resources, your CEO for that matter, because you have a lot of folks that actually defer the benefits decision to the chief executive officer or the spouse of the chief executive officer, right? Because they want to see what their family's going to have upon open enrollment. They're the first people that want to know what's going on. Another issue that's a big deal that swept the country are your enrollment logistics using an electronic benefits platform with direct feeds that may integrate with your payroll and benefits carriers, making enrollment changes live action, instantaneous with the carriers. I looked at a bill just a few minutes before we went on live today. They had terminations that occurred back in June, and their October bill still showed people actively on their plan. That's no good. And when I asked them about it, they said, yeah, we've tried to make those changes 3 months in a row, and they just keep appearing on the bill. That's not streamlined. That's not status. That is totally status quo. That's not breaking through the status quo. That's totally the status quo. How many times have you seen those? And then when they keep them on there, then they come back and tell you, oh, they can only go back 60 days, and you got to eat that extra premium. There's something wrong with that. I'm sorry. Let's talk about this, though. Does your benefits plan take an aggressive approach to prescription drugs? Prescription drugs, folks, are the low-hanging fruit on these medical plans. They're the easiest part of your medical plan to attack and reduce those costs. There's a ton of hidden cash flows. There's a ton of fat found in these pharmacy programs. Yes, you can find those $5 and $10 and $15 coupons out there from the manufacturer, but it's still charging you a full boatload. Anytime you see a drug advertised on TV, and we see them every night at the 6 o'clock news, 6:30 news, and complete on into Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, right? You've got all that stuff leading into Survivor on Wednesday nights, that you're going to have $1,000 medication promoted to you direct to consumer on the TV. Ask your doctor about Jardiance. Ask your doctor about Entresto, Skyrizi. If you download the GoodRx app and you investigate one of those costs for these drugs, you'll find they're anywhere from $500 to $1,500 per month in your local pharmacy. But you can get a coupon for $10 per prescription. It's crazy, but those manufacturers, they know where their butter is on their bread, and they're going to take you to the cleaners every chance they get. If they don't take you, they're going to take your health plan to the cleaners, and they're going to make you pay for it from now on. Let's talk about this too. Does your benefits plan take an aggressive approach towards a value-based pricing for physicians and specialists? Let's talk about that, because you want value. You want people that are competent to do the work when you have a condition or illness. And you don't want to overpay for that type of service. And if you have no idea what it costs you to go see a doctor, whether it's a specialist, a surgical specialist, a cancer oncologist, or any number of other providers, an ENT specialist, for example, you want to make sure that they're competitively paid, fairly compensated but that you're not overpaying for that in the form of a premium in your medical plan. It's very simple. And then the other question is, do you have a concierge service? Do you have a 24/7 concierge service that will actually help advise you on where the best service will be, help explain your benefits, and also deliver that value that you paid for so that you can deliver that to your employees so that they know that they've got confidence, clarity, and control over the situation, and they have benefits that are provided to take care of those oopsie daisy situations in life. I talked with a prospect last week who has a waiting list for an EAP. I think we talked about this maybe last show. But dude, a waiting list for an EAP. Let's think about that. Most of the time, if there's an EAP call, it's because somebody's gotten to that point where they're going to reach out for help. Can you imagine getting called for an EAP and say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait. Don't talk to my ear, talk to the elbow until we get back to you because we've got a waiting list on the EAP. This is a crisis. Crises don't wait. It's just unfathomable for me to think that an EAP would have a waiting list. But hey, boom. The other thing that we'll finish up with is, does your benefits plan take advantage of a mobile app to deliver these benefits, information, and services? Of course we do, because we're breaking through the status quo. And whenever you have that mobile app, you've got your benefits at your fingertips. And let's face it, the iPhones or the mobile phones, the smartphones of today are the human remote controls, right? We all know that they pack a lot of power in those little devices. And, the takeaway on all of these really is that if you answered no to any of these questions, there's likely an opportunity for your business to transform how you handle and deliver employee benefits. And that's the fun part, because we can have a conversation about all of these and just take one step at a time. You don't have to do it all at once. We meet you where you are, and we'll help you transition your business into a well-oiled machine, if you will. These questions are accessible by design. You don't have to be an expert to recognize when you need one. And, just looking at this simple checklist, we'll make this available in the show notes for you, because, if your advisor doesn't have or cannot elaborate on how these questions might impact your bottom line and starts to steer you back towards the shore and the rocks and the other dangerous things that you might find in the ocean, that's the kind of boring and unimaginative kind of things that competitors of ours use. Bring in another advisor. I'm happy to consult, because one who can keep pace with the drive for breaking the status quo is what you're looking for. You don't need milk toast in this business. You need somebody that's got that entrepreneurial spirit that can break down this problem and re-engineer things in the best interest of your business and to the benefit of your employees. It's actually exciting. This is the next evolution. This is breaking through the status quo. And I will just say that reach out to us. I'm John Clay. I'm the consultant advisor at Better Source Benefits. And you can find me out here on the web at www.bettersourcebenefits.com. And you can click on the Get Started tab or book a meeting with John Clay, and we will rock and roll and talk to you about how you can reimagine your benefits in the best interest of your business and your employees. So join us next time on the same bat time and the same bat channel for Benefits with John Clay, and we'll see you out there. All the